give you, start off with. P.T. Barnum, the late Liberace, Elvis Presley, Sammy Davis Jr., Tina Turner, Mr. T, and right now, people like the Hulk, Junkyard Dog. And if you don't know who these people are, then you're not really in with the times, especially the wrestlers. They are what I would consider the epitome of showmanship. I'm not saying right now that showmanship means all that glitter. There's a lot more to go along with it, and we'll get into that. But think about that. You know that they are showmen and showwomen. They know how to sell their talent and how to entertain the people. I'm going to give you a little thing to think about that may help you in becoming a showman, at least 4 ingredients that I think are important. Before that, I looked up the word showmanship. I barely got through high school. I thought more important things were music, girls, and cars. And so when I get stuck on a word, I go right to the dictionary and look it up. I looked up showmanship. First definition said, person having a sense or knack for dramatically affect presentation. That's a good one. Second one says, and I added a word. I've added the word creative to this definition. A person skilled on presenting things in a dramatic, creative, and exciting way. And that's what we're about to see, if we can give you some hints on that. Again, before we get to these two gentlemen, they're going to give you some of their ideas on choreography and music. I want you to, right now, think about something that may be very difficult for you to think about. I want you to imagine a square. You people are having a hard time imagining a square right now? Imagine a square. In the center of that square is showmanship. You. 4 ingredients that I believe are important to becoming a showman and entertaining the dancer. In each corner, first corner being product knowledge, and I'll explain a little bit about each one of these. Another corner would be talent. Third corner, personality. Fourth corner, creativity. You may not totally agree with my order, but let me get down to it. Product knowledge. It's the understanding of your activity, the tools of your trade, your recorder, your record player, your speakers, how to use a microphone. I'm not going to get into any of the heavy stuff of how to use any of these. I would hope that Larry and Jim may pick up on some of this. Using the mic properly, don't shove it down your throat. Don't rest it on your nose. Don't put it under your nose. The proper handling of a microphone. Choreography. We have plenty of notes out there. We have CALLERLAB to learn from about choreography. We have each other to learn about. That's product knowledge. That's learning about our activity. Records, music. Something very interesting. It's always something interesting happens at CALLERLAB when I see callers buying a record. Always amazes me. Music is very important to you. That's part of your tool. That's something you're going to have to deal with to entertain the people. I notice there are still callers, and this is my opinion, and I'll fight anybody with it. They put on the caller's side. They listen to 4 bars of the music, and they made their decision. And then they're sorry later. Please, when you're listening to records, listen to that music side. Listen real good. See if it's going to fit you. Again, that's your tool. That's very important. Music is very important. Learning how to set up a speaker in a room, that's part of your tool. Again, choreography. That's product knowledge, and I believe very sincerely that's the number one thing you have to know before you can get into anything else. Talent. Oh, I know I'm going to get a big argument on talent. Most of you are going to say, that should be number one. You've got to have talent. I'm a firm believer that everybody has a God-given talent in anything they pursue. You right now are pursuing square dance calling. The talent's in there somewhere. Boy, he's got more talent than anybody I've ever seen. Yeah, he's learned how to develop that talent better than you. Probably studied his product knowledge, his product. He studied harder than you did. He knew how to use the tools of his trade. Maybe you ought to take a look back at your career and see where you could polish up your talent. Oh, he has a gift. Boy, does he have the gift. Again, I looked up this word gift that we're supposed to have. The natural endowment of a person. The only one I know that fits is Dolly Parton. Okay? Second definition. A characteristic feature, attitude, or disposition of a person. Even Dolly Parton had to learn to develop her talent. Singing. Okay? We can learn to develop our talent. You have plenty of talented people here that we can learn from. All right? And the other thing, too, when people say he's got the gift, it reminded me of something that I just bought a watch. This does everything. Tells me the time in Bangkok. Tells me how fast my car is going. I own a van, but it'll tell me how fast the car is going. I got it. I put it on. I have yet to find out what time it is in Bangkok. I don't know how to work it. It's a gift. What I forgot to do is read the instructions. Again, the point I'm trying to make, product. Read about your product. You'll develop the talent. The next thing after talent is personality. Here is a good one. Personality, like rainbows, all different colors. We have all kinds of personalities. Personalities are also very easily developed. We all have them, but we can develop a good personality, and it's very simple. A smile, a handshake, and be friendly with each other. That's a great personality. But each one of us is made up of many characteristics or traits that make us different from one another as can be. Right here we have two gentlemen. There are so many things that make us different, basically. Our height, the way we look, the way we dress, and by the way, that's part of your personality. How many times have you seen guys come in, callers with jumpsuits? I hear there are a couple of callers that like to come and call a dance in jumpsuits. Our activity is called Western American modern square dancing. Where does jumpsuits come into this? Western clothes. Now, I won't tell you how to wear cowboy boots, but that's part of your personality. And we're all different from one another, like I said. Right up here on this board, we have one gentleman that looks like a cherub from a Valentine's card. The other gentleman looks like he came out of high noon, and I would not draw against him. Another feeling I have is that I shouldn't be in front of either one of them. But I'll let you guess which one's the cute one and which one's the tough one. But even with their personalities, they can be altered and changed for the better. Caution. Oh, am I going to catch heck when this is over with? Caution about your personality. We can learn from each other, of course. And there's an old joke, and I don't mean this to be a joke, ha-ha funny, but I'm sure you remember the one about the prisoners who could not talk at night, so they memorized the joke and the punchlines. You ever heard that? One prisoner would say 4, and everybody would laugh hysterically. The next one would say 2, and they'd be rolling on the floor. The next prisoner said 1. Nobody laughed. One prisoner looked over the other and says, some can tell them, some can't. It's true. When we're developing our personality, we're going to learn from each other. How many times has a caller come through town and said, gee, I like what he did. I'm going to do it. And it doesn't work. Caution. Know just what your personality is about before you go take something. And we're all going to borrow from each other because that's why we're here. Before Larry Letson does something, make sure it works for you. Before Mr. Jim Hayes does something, make sure it works for you. A funny story in my area, and I know some will tell you this. I don't know how it started. About 5 years ago, I call men, I repeat, men, ugly. I used to explain the fact I'd say swing through ugly run, and it works. Everybody gets a laugh. I explained that about 5 years ago, the Cubs, the Bears, and the Sox play ugly. They win the game. They get through it rough, but they win. That's called playing ugly. Got a big laugh out of it. But there's a couple of young callers in our area who thought that was cute. So when they called, they said, swing through an ugly run. I found out that some of the men dancers said, that's not funny. We don't appreciate it. They didn't say anything. Oddly enough, a month later, I went to call for one of these callers' clubs, and there I am saying ugly run, scoot back ugly. And they all laughed. Can't figure out. Point, watch what you use. Somebody else can get away with it. You may not be able to. Okay? So, again, personalities can be developed. We're going to learn from each other. The best one coming up is creativity. This really is last on the list, but it kind of holds up everything else. Creativity is very important. Again, I went to the dictionary and looked it up. Having the ability, quality, and talent to create anew rather than imitate. That's not quite true. For instance, there's occasionally I look through Playboy. I don't look at the pictures. I read the articles. Yeah, I do. Don't we? Yes, we do. You're the one that points out the articles. There was a cartoon in it that showed two archaeologists chipping away an old pyramid, turning up old pottery, old writing. As they chipped away, all of a sudden revealed was the Coca-Cola logo. Nothing's new. There's a new meaning today for creativity, and that is, there's no new idea, only old ideas that evolve to a new state that seems fresh and original. And that's what we do. When you hear things that callers do, and we're going to get into shtick, by the way. I was hoping that when we get done, shtick, by the way, I'll explain that in just a little bit. That's gimmicks and things that maybe if we have time that we can all share a little bit of ideas that we do, both choreography, little gimmicks, or whatever. And we're going to pass them on here to you. When you do things, one of the guys that was really famous for it was Milton Berle. Milton Berle was accused of stealing ideas. He didn't steal ideas. He took old ones, and in his time, made them creative, new, and fresh, and fit his personality. Of course, today I don't necessarily see some of us callers or lady callers coming out in opposite clothes, although there's a record that says, where's the dress? And I've heard some of you callers have come out, male callers, in a dress. But that was his style. He knew how to do things. Milton Berle was a master at taking old ideas and making them fresh. And that's what you should be thinking about when we're passing on ideas. Now, to get to that word shtick, in my career I joke to you about doing anything that doesn't require muscle. I've tried everything in this game. I was a drummer for 30 years. 5 of those years I traveled, along with a lot of show groups, show people, a lot of comedians. Many of those comedians were Jewish. I tried to be a comedian. I did that for 1 year, laid some of the biggest eggs I have ever laid in my life, and figured that wasn't exactly what I was going to do. And some of these Jewish comedians came up and says, you know, Jack, this is probably not your shtick. I said, what? Shtick. Shtick is a Yiddish word meaning comedy routine, a routine unique to that comedian. Comedy routine. I'm going to give you some shtick right now. I don't want you to think that square dance calling is all comedy. It's not. But by golly, let's have a little bit of fun in our dancing. I'm going to pass some shtick on to you. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, yeah, Joe does that. I don't care who does it. I don't care who you're going to give credit to. I want to tell you who told me about some things. I want to tell you what I think I've invented. Now, you can say, well, Joe does that. Well, Joe told Sid, Sid told Sue, Sue told Betty. Somehow we got it, or maybe they got it from us. Shtick. Corner shtick. We all use it. You know what that is. Boys, face your corner, would you please? Tell her how pretty she looks, and she looks just like Dolly Parton. Gets a chuckle every time. You can almost tell dancers anything, they're going to laugh. Little break. Breaks up the routine. Boys, here's a partner shtick. Boys, grab your partner's hand. I'm going to do a love song now. Look in her eyes. Boys kind of look lovesick. That's it, stupid. Look her in the eye and say, honey, this love song, and he'll repeat it. Then you say, it's for my corner. You follow that up with, are you guys in trouble again? Never mind, I'll spell it later. That's B-O-U-Y-S, Larry. The other thing is, I'm going to give credit now. I'm going to give a name and credit to this one. It's called Jack's Love Test. Usually when I come into a new area, I'll say, we're going to do Jack's Love Test. We're all going to get friendly. All join hands, would you please? Girls, squeeze the hand of the man you love best. Of course, you'll have the guys claiming that both hands were squeezed. They'll go down to the ground. Again, it's just something, you don't do this all night long. You don't do all this shtick all night long. But it does break up some tension. It helps you. I get my funniest when I'm the most frightened. I'll put you in stitches and you'll make you hysteric when I'm going into surgery. When I went in for back surgery, I had those doctors and nurses just laughing. I was scared. I don't know any other way to relieve that tension. That's how I relieve tension. It does with the dancers, too. Again, shtick isn't only funny things. There is choreography shtick. Something a little different. This may not be different. You may all be doing it. It doesn't hurt to say in the beginning of your tip, head man, corner girl. Go into the middle and back. First of all, they're looking for their corner, but that's okay. Give them time. Pass through, do a U-turn back. Do a right and left through. That's right and left through, Jim. I thought you were writing it down. Flutter wheel. Sweep a quarter in the middle. Do an Alaman left. Walk right into a right and left grand. That's it. That's shtick. Choreography shtick. Another one is some songs that you can have from. This is from Mr. Dave Taylor. I use it a lot, and I take credit for it. But since this is being taped, and he's in the audience giving me dirty looks, I better see who did this. Now, don't you come back to me after this is over and say, Dave didn't do that. It was, Cindy, a blooper. She probably got it from Dave. Everything has originated from Dave. He's that old. Now I feel better because I know I'm going to catch it later on. This is a cute idea. There's a couple of songs that this works real good in. And I'm afraid I didn't do my homework here, but there is many songs. One of them is a blues star that has a wooden block beat in the middle break. Hollywood on Cross Country has a sandpaper effect in the middle break. Are you getting the picture so far? There are several other songs that I can't recall, and I hope maybe these guys can pick it up, that have wooden block or sandpaper effect. When you get to that part, you say, 4 boys into the middle and tap dance. And they'll do it, boy. They're in there tap dancing. Of course, some of them come out a little sooner, and you got to say, back in, boys. Get those 16 beats. Back out, Alaman left, do, sound, do, bow down low, and weave the ring. That's from Mr. Dave Taylor. Don't give him a hand. It doesn't... No. The loudest one, of course, was him. Again, duets. You don't do this all night long. Another song, ESP, Honky Tonk Queen. Great one to do for 2 callers. That's a fun one. Chicago Country, Where's the Dress? That's a good one. So there are songs around. There's a blues star that I've had fun with, but you've really got to work on. It's called Backward Squares. Anybody recall that? You say things backwards in there? Just alone trying to remember that is funny enough. Sometimes you don't want to get too entertaining because what happens is the dancers start turning around and look at you and not dance. Again, I repeat, don't all night long do all these things. I'm just trying to throw a bunch of shtick out at you. And these gentlemen will. Song-wise, choreography-wise, they'll give you more. That's creativity. All this has to be put together somehow. Showmanship, to be a true four-cornered caller. Product knowledge, talent, personality, creativity. Somehow you got to put all these together. How do you do that? Norm Cross said the other morning, let's not dwell on the negatives. Let's think about the positives. You put all this together anytime you do a dance with PMA. Some of you know what PMA is? Positive mental attitude. That's right. I worked for 20 years as the head artist for a man who is Mr. PMA, who invented PMA, Mr. W. Clement Stone. And I can tell you nothing works without a positive mental attitude. Nothing. You can't learn your product knowledge by saying, oh, well, I got to do it. You got to say, yeah, I'm going to learn this now. How do you do this? Yeah, a little enthusiasm. Talent. Without saying, you can't develop your talent without some kind of positive attitude. Don't be afraid to try things. I know there are callers who say, I go to a dance, boy, and I know exactly what I'm doing. Oh, I envy him. I really do. Sometimes my creative juices get a little wild with me and things squirt out of my mouth I wish I could take back. But I'll usually do that at my club. I'll do that at my clubs. I won't do that at guest clubs or going out on the road, I assure you. That's why we have home clubs to try out some of our shtick. Don't be afraid to be creative. Go in with a positive man attitude. Personality, if you have PMA in front of your crowd, if you're having fun, then they're having fun. That's part of a positive mental attitude. You've got to show that. Don't get up there and say, well, here's another dance I got to do. It just don't work that way. You're a showman. That's a hard thing to be at all times. So use PMA. Creativity, again, well, you can't do anything without a positive attitude. Attack the situation. Try it. Got nothing to lose. Try it. One thing to come to the end of this little thing is that I have a motivator that kicks me off. I used that motivator when I came in here. Sometimes I have to use this motivator 2, 3, and 4 times. You had a fight with your partner. You're going to a dance. How do you get up? Your son or daughter just flunked gym. And you got to go out and call tonight. I flunked recess. I really don't think that's funny. How do you get yourself motivated? You're going to call with a big-time caller. I have to come in here and be up here with these people. And another very good friend out there staring at me. What is that motivator? I have a red button right above my heart that says, Showtime! I'm always ready. I press it when I go out that door, because it's showtime when I go out that door. It was showtime when I hit that door. I hit that button. I really hit that button above my heart. I hit it again about midway. I seen you people filling up. I don't know if you've seen it, but I hit it 2 more times. It's a little tough out here being in front of all you people. That's what motivates me. I'm a showman all the time. I wore my loud stuff today. As a matter of fact, what I didn't do is I didn't put my mustache on the mic. I have a pair of pants on here that's embroidered that has Yosemite Sam on it. Well, there are times I'm conservative, but I like to be a showman. My band is part of my showmanship. When I get out that door, I get in my van, especially at night, and I put the lights on. That thing lights up, looks like E.T. coming in for a landing. The back of my van has my name on it with my picture of my face on it and says, Square Dance Caller. I'm proud of it. Are you? Or do you ask somebody else, what do you do for a hobby? What do you do for a living? Well, you're a what? Can you say that slower? Sure. I'm a square dance caller. And I'm proud of it. It says that somebody says I'm on an ego trip. We all are. We're proud of what we do. You should be. You're a showman. You're an entertainer. I put my name on there because I let everybody know. And beside that, being a fair businessman, I have gotten many dances out of that. I also write it off with Uncle Sam. It's called billboard on the back of one's van. It works. It really does. Be proud of what you do. Use that red button technique if it works. Because it does for me. For years it has worked, especially as a musician. I press it and it works. Sum it up. Showmanship. Product knowledge. Know your activity well and use your tools well of your trade. 2, talent. It's there in all of us. Learn to develop it. 1% God-given, 99% hard work. Personality? It's just a smile and a handshake away from a showman. Creativity. Learning from others and making it look new and fresh and fitting your personality. It's showtime. I've said enough. And we have time left over here. We're going to, hopefully, I don't know if we have a mic to pass, you're going to have to yell it out. I've been yelling for 5 days. You can yell today. I know that a lot of you have great ideas, and you usually tell it in the halls. You never tell it out here. No idea is stupid, because if it was, then I wouldn't be up here. We want to hear it. If your idea and your shtick is so good, you're not going to tell us because it's that great. I ain't going to let Larry hear it. I ain't going to let Jim Hayes hear it because it's mine. My foot. If it's that great, your dancer will tell somebody else, tell somebody else, tell somebody. Larry will hear about it because I'll tell him. We'd like to hear your shtick when we get down here. Please tell us. I think that's enough. I hope I laid some groundwork and some ideas for you. We're going to get to the next speaker, who will introduce himself and tell you some of his shtick. And when we get down here, we'll see what kind of shtick you have. Let's have a real nice showtime welcome to Mr. Jim Hayes.
Thank you, Jack. It's kind of hard to... I come from Kansas, and from a different type of showmanship, a little more reserved, kind of hard to get up for some things. And following a gentleman like Jack, doing such a beautiful job, which he can do, I have to do my thing a little bit on a different plane. I don't have the jokes. But I was just adding up all the jobs that you were telling us about. 30 years as a drummer, 20 years as an artist, 17 years as a caller. He just really doesn't look that old to me. But last night at the banquet, all the guys were running up to the band and say, well, play a Texas song, play a this song. And heck, they were just going on and on. People jump up and swing their towels around. So I went up there. Heck, I thought, well, I'm from Kansas. So I said, hey, how about a Kansas song? And that guy turned around and he looked at his other players. And there's buzz, 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 buzz. And finally come back to me and says, well, how do you play Wizard of Oz? So we don't have much to talk about. We don't even have a mountain removal committee or whatever. Everybody, we're all callers, should kind of know their plateau and where they're going and where they really fit into the activity. And I pretty much know. I had my sights set relatively high when I first got started. And trying to raise 8 kids and feeding them and putting them through school, and it slowed me down quite a bit. And we got kind of started kind of late into it, but we were fortunate enough to have a lot of great talent come through our part of the country while we were getting started, and kind of helped us direct in maybe not such a high level of popularity through the world, but at the same time work towards the club programs, the local program, even though I did get started quite quickly traveling. But I had to come up with my style. I couldn't mimic Frank Lane, which was one of my idols, and the Marshall Flippos, and Jerry Hague was one of the first guys that came through and did a festival for us and did a hula dance. I said, my God, he's got talent. But you really, when Jack pushes his button for showtime, I have a harder time finding that button. I have to work harder at it. But maybe a little more sedate, but we kind of feel like that we developed another style of showmanship. But when we do approach these dancers that we call to around the country, the first thing I have to do is go into it and start feeling out the crowd and try to call to all the dancers and build and look and see where their weak points are and their strong points are. And I'm talking about the choreography and their facial expressions, how their feet moves and their body moves to the music that you play for them. And we develop this sense that all of you have. You check the movements, how they perform the style, their dancing styles. You check the ability of following directions. And at this point then, in this first tip or two, you're developing a sense of what this dancer can do so that then you can decide which way you want to entertain them. Some dancers are much harder to entertain because they're more sophisticated. And that's not a put down. Some dancers have danced longer, under better conditions maybe, that have a better chance to develop a higher level of movements. So when I'm satisfied that I know pretty much where this general dance can go, then I start trying to entertain them very slowly. And Jack has really hit on so many things that come to mind that I had written down as notes that is so important about the copying the other caller and following somebody else's style or trying to do something that somebody else did and it bombs out. I can't do what Larry does, and I can't do what Jack does. So I have to do what I can do. And then you have to listen to your wife, and you have to look at the frowns on the people to tell you if you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. And so, entertaining the people, I've kind of settled on choreography, movements that get a laugh or a smile occasionally. And there's no way to list all the things that you do. How many times has somebody come up to you and they say, hey, how do you do this? And I don't really know. It happens at that time. I can't even think about it on the way to the dance. Anytime I start thinking, every time I start developing or setting a program up and trying to work that program on the way to the dance or on the way for the next week or the next trip or whatever it is, it never works anyway. Every dance I walk into, you see a different guy, he looks at you different, or a prettier gal, or whatever it takes to distract your whole program. And I never had the ability to memorize anything. It seemed like that when I got into calling, I just had to make it up as I went and hoped it worked. But we did a lot of work, though. And so I never did develop these memory things. And so, as it was, I had to develop kind of some ad-lib talking along with the calling. And like the late C.O. Guest once come through and did a little dance with us or something. Anyway, he got in the middle of a little choreography thing, and he had a two-faced line, and he told everybody to go right and left through. Instantly, he realized he couldn't do the right and left through, and then he says, right after you bend the line. And so he bailed himself out real quickly, and everybody got a laugh. Well, it didn't matter if that was kind of a rough move or a hiccup move. And the point is, he got the call across, he screwed up, got out of it, and the people laughed, and that's all he could really ask for, because that's really important to me. If you can walk into a place and just keep people smiling and laughing, then you have to decide on the degree of what level of the choreography you want to go with. years ago, when I was in the real infant stage, we were so hunger for caller knowledge. And we hired Earl Johnston to come in and do a couple little seminar things for us. It wasn't too heavy, but he knew how to handle it because we didn't know anything anyway. So it didn't take long for him to figure out what he could tell us. But anyway, he called a little dance for us so we could raise the money to pay the rent on the building, which was $15. And I think we gave him $35 or $40. It wasn't very darn much at the time. But he got us dancing our way there, and all of a sudden, we were down there, for instance, if you had the heads down the middle, go right and left through and star through. And then he said, a 4-chain 1. We all kind of stood there and kind of scratched our ears, but then all of a sudden realized what we had to do, basically a right hand pull by, and then he said left alaman. But it's little things like this that I've picked up on and try to go with. The guys that you see around the country, the real popular people that are really entertaining us. And anytime Shirley and I have a night off, we do try to go dance with the callers as they come through the country. But you take a lot of guys entertain people different ways. A lot of guys use jokes in between the tips. And this is a nice way of entertaining the people if they don't mind paying the $5 or $6 to hear jokes all night. But at the same time, some guys know how to tell the joke, quickly get in and out of it. And, I don't know if Lem's here or not, Lem Gerbel, but this guy comes to Kansas, and we've learned more Cajun jokes, and none of us have ever got to Louisiana before. We didn't know what he was talking about, but we've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of his little jokes that he tells at some of our dances and festivals. Gene Trimmer is a caller that we've learned to love, but most of his style of joke telling is basically after-party type, but occasionally he'll throw in something during the dance. But he has the old hometown or home type jokes that really get the people's attention. He draws the people in and then zaps them with the punchline. He does such a beautiful job. I'm afraid I'm going to have to use my glasses. A lot of callers can do this and get away with it, but lots of them can't, and they bomb out, and then they wonder why in the world can't I do it? Heck, Lem did it, Gene did it. Well, the reason you can't do it is you're trying to copy somebody else's style. You got to develop your own style, whether it's right or wrong. You got to start working on something. And I guess it's better to try it. But if you learn not to do it anymore, you've gained. A lot of the callers use voice control to entertain the dancer, and this is something that's always amazed me. I've always been the guy that wanted to yodel and can't. Have a hard enough time carrying a tune, but you take the Jerry Rashes and a lot of the guys around the country, they can just yodel their heart out. Gee whiz. And I just sit there in amazement how they can do that, and I'm still going to try to learn someday. Not that it'd do me any good. There's an old story. What the heck was it? Can't remember the guy's name anymore, but we were talking. They were all on the wagon wheel label, and Jerry Haig was one of them, but one of them claimed that they taught the other to yodel driving across the country. Don Franklin. Did he claim he taught you, or did you claim you taught him, Jerry? It was not that way, right? Well, Don's not here to defend himself, and Jerry says he taught him. But anyway, but these but anyway, we've heard them all yodel, and it was such a neat deal to listen to them because they can really build a crowd up, and the people enjoy that type of thing. The late Dick Jones had a way with voice control and holding notes and carrying, going into falsetto and sliding from one area to another. And it was just, he had people just spellbound. The backbone would just tingle with the way some of the things he did with just his voice control. And it was one of the greats. Hey guys, and I know there's millions of you out there that can do just as good as most of these guys. And I use their names because I happen to know them. If I knew all of you, I'd be happy to use your names. One time, talking about copying things, I had the privilege to go to caller school later in my career, but we went to Dick Jones, and Johnny Davis, and up in Merrillville, Indiana. But Artie Jones made a statement one time which kind of rang true, and a lot of us can hear this. But she told me one time that years ago they were walking through the National Convention, down through the halls, and about every third or fourth room they went by, a singing call was going on. She could hear Dick Jones singing, or somebody that sounded like him. And she felt it was a great tribute to Dick that people did copy him and did such a marvelous job. A lot of them did it. But Dick always felt about that he kind of felt good that he was able to influence people to use his style. And it was a good style. We have a lot of guys that use other types of entertainment. A lot of people call them gimmicks, but actually they're not. Anytime you can put together something, it works, and it's not just, jump up and down, fall down, and flop around. It's okay, but we had a lot of guys using, back when we first started dancing, a guy, Jim Brower, from Northeast Texas, and I don't think he calls anymore, but he did a thing called Exploding Stars Progressive Squares or something. Anyway, we've seen Chris Veer and Stan Burdick and a lot of the guys take, and I've seen them go up and down, straight across and down and back, and maybe they can do this other too. But Jim took them and had like the head gent and the corner girl go in, and then he had things running on the 45, and how he, of course, I know he had a pattern to get them back again, but it was always amazes how he could do that. And of course, like any new dancer or any dancer, when you do a progressive square, you've really entertained the people and kept it moving very smoothly and nice, and it works. And they really enjoy that. Can I have some water, please? Some of the occasionally we'll be calling to a plus level or an A level. It really doesn't matter, but you'll be calling away, and you'll start to put together some choreography in the level that you're calling, and all of a sudden you slip back to an all-position type of call beneath that level, and the dancer quivers and breaks down because they weren't prepared for it. And one of the things I always say is, "Gee, guys, I'm sorry I jumped off the list." But they kind of get a chuckle out of it because they know they jumped off the list the wrong down instead of up. And you normally, when we make a mistake, we jump off the list and go up, and we do mess up some people a lot. One of the things that I do occasionally, I'm not considered an A caller. I mean, not a good A caller. I call several A dances around the country, and I used to get pretty heavy into it. One of the statements I use when I go out to these guys, I only call fun level A. I mean, I'll call a list to you, and I'll have a good time with you, but if you're going to be hardcore on me, I just can't handle it. I'm very sensitive. I really am very sensitive, and I have a hard time handling when people are frowning out there. I got to know that I'm having a good time with them, and they're having a good time with me, or I have a hard time entertaining those people. One of the things I just tell them, I say, "Guys, I'm going to call the whole list to you, and if you do everything I call, then I won't make a mistake." I use a lot of little quickies, kind of break the ice sometimes just to get the feel of the dancer. And some of them are definitely not written up in the rules properly. One time I was doing a little caller seminar out in Denver, and Greg Anderson was out there, but I was just showing him how some of the things that I develop into choreography, and I got in an Alamo style, and I just said spin, chain through, half, three-quarters, center, half, and everybody three-quarters, back into an Alamo on the other side for some of the guys. I think it kind of zeroes out, but we got the description, and everybody will get it. So I didn't really feel like I was breaking the rule too much, but this is the type of little thing that I throw in between occasionally to see how the dancer reacts. A lot of times there was an old call I learned years ago. It was called Explode the Square or something to that effect. But anyway, I think it was a California twirl, a cross trail, skip one corner and star through. Well, you did it from a standard static square, and you're basically halfway out. But I used to do it from circles and different things, but I wouldn't call it that. I'd just say California twirl, cross trail, skip one corner, and do on and whatever it took. But little things like this, and what sometimes it does, if you have multi-level dancers in the room out there, how do you really entertain and keep all of them happy? I very simply try to pick things that nobody knows, not pick different calls or workshop experimentals, but just try to put some choreography together that makes the new dancer feel he's gotten through something he's never heard before, and the old dancer's going to have to strain a little bit to keep up with him, because the new dancer usually can follow directions better than the old dancer, and they have the new dancer taught properly, we have no problem with them. I do little things like in the middle, if you need a little pickup sometimes, but I never get too wild with music or words or anything, but one of the little things like lines of four, or out with your corner, star through, get in the lines of four with your corner. Pass through. Boys run to the right, girls run to the right. This is not original. I forget who I stole it from. And then pass through, girls run to the right, boys run to the right. You're zeroed out, you haven't done anything, but people do have to think about which way is right and which way is left. And the girls have probably the hardest time because we're usually running the boys to death. The girls just kind of back and forth. And then occasionally you'll take and reverse that action, pass through, girl run to the left, boy run to the left. Pass through, girl run to the left, or boy run to the left, girls do a left a la man with your corner. And it makes them think for a little bit, and they kind of grab elbows and knees, but they sometimes get through it okay. But the point is, I've left them right with their corner, and they're not going to make a mistake. If anybody makes a mistake, it's going to be me. Little things like face your corner, pass through, and star through. They have a hard time realizing they can actually turn and face their corner and pass through with them a lot of time. Now I'm talking about mainstream programming and not such heavy-level dancers as some of y'all come from. But we pretty much through the Midwest, except for a few exceptions, I would imagine we'd be a very nice, comfortable mainstream and a lot of very nice, comfortable plus dancers. But that's about the extent of it if you want to take the majority of people. But they don't mind having a little fun things with you. Lines of four, 8 chain 2. Well, they'll look around and try to figure out how in the world you do that. But and it's not right. I know it's wrong to call it that way. But they'll go ahead and do the right and left through and having a little bit of fun with it. Or lines of 4, 8 chain 1, right hand pull by. Or lines of 4, all 8 circulate. It's a little different than the norm, but the dancer, when they realize they can do it and they get away with it, they have a good time and they laugh. And that's really the only thing it's so important for them to have a good time. He doesn't need it. Once in a while, if you're calling along, just having a good time with folks, and you really put together nothing, absolutely nothing, and the dancer, but you're having fun with the dancer, and you're jumping back and forth and enjoying one another. Why, every once in a while they'll really mess up on a very basic little old thing, but it was maybe just the way you put it together. For instance, lines of 4. Star through, veer to the left, veer to the right. California twirl, pass through, veer to the left. And if you have an 8 chain through situation and you do a pass through from an 8 chain through position and you veer to the left, people will automatically step forward, and you'll have a 2-faced line down the middle and a couple facing out on each end. And which is a little hard to get out of unless you're into something else, I suppose. So for my little gimmick, I just say, now everybody back up. And they're looking around how they back up, and they back up, and I say bend the line, left out of man, or whatever it might be. But it's just little things like this, and it's not smooth choreography, but there's a lot of nice things in choreography that you can do. One of the little things I just played. Now, I know, again, I'm going to say it, every one of you have used this, and it's not original, but you have the heads out facing their corner, and you just do the basic, swing through, boy, run to the right. Ferris wheel, veer to the left, veer to the right. Everybody veer to the right. Ferris wheel, centers veer to the right, veer to the left, everybody veer to the left. Ferris wheel, centers veer to the left, veer to the right, left out of man. There's nothing to it, but they get this thing going. It's a beautiful, nice flow. And then you might say to them, watch the heavy stuff. Well, there's nothing to it, but they laugh, and that's what's important. While I'm out traveling around the country and enjoying, one of the greatest feelings I get is if you go into a hall in kind of a strange area, you really don't know the people that well, but you start developing a program and entertaining the people with whatever you're doing. One of the best feelings I ever get is when you start calling these people, and there's a group of callers, local callers that might come in, and they'll stack up in the back corner discussing the weather or discussing their last dance. All of a sudden they realize that the dancers are having a good time, and all of a sudden they break out of their little corner and they go out and join in the fun with their fellows, friends, and dancers. And I always get a good feeling out of that, because apparently you've done something to get them out of the corner and down and break the barrier and become part of the whole movement, square dancing. But my whole philosophy in square dancing is to have fun with the dancer, never cheat them on what you owe them. Good, smooth choreography, good, smooth dancing, with a lot of fun, keeping them abreast of everything that's going on, keeping them dancing well, praising them, clapping them, patting them on the back, helping them, working with the home program, and traveling and trying to make a living for myself and my family. And we may not make as much as most, but we do have a good time, and we've enjoyed it so much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. That was Jim the Gunslinger Hayes, in case you forgot which one was which. I do want to point out something. I did add up those years. Comes to 66 years.
Well, then you were right.
Then that means there's 19 years I can't remember what the heck I did with. And also, if Jim has been on the road so much, I want to know, 8 kids? Okay, the next speaker is, cute little bugger, is Larry Shoot Me in the Heart with Love Letson.
Howdy. Everything that they've covered is very, very important into showmanship. It takes every bit of that to make sure you're doing it. I don't know how it happens. A lot of times you get involved in something and all of a sudden you're in the process of doing it and you don't know how you did it. Has anybody done this before? Okay. You did something and you say, I got a response out of the crowd for it, and I don't know, I didn't have it planned, it just kind of happened. To me, this is the biggest thing that I play off of. If something happens at a dance and I can find something that will happen, I'm going to play on it in a heartbeat, I guarantee you. Choreography-wise, I steal everything I get from all the greats. Sometimes I look into the upper levels, and a good example is a friend of mine, Mr. Johnny Preston. Johnny started out calling C1. He had no idea what mainstream, how to call mainstream. Today, Johnny and I get together, he gives me some good A2 stuff, I give him some good mainstream stuff, and we swap back and forth. Things that you can find in the different levels doesn't mean that you have to go give it this name. And I don't know any other way to show some of this. Can we use a demo type thing? Can I get a square just out there in the center, the type thing? Can we get 4 couples just to do some demo stuff, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Can I get 4 couples to volunteer?
It won't hurt.
It won't hurt. We're just going to walk. No, I won't need it right now, just for the walkthrough. Surely one more couple knows how.
4 couples make a square.
Okay. All right. If we can just kind of show you some ideas. Lee Cotman came up with a thing called checkerboards. And somebody says, we never back up in square dancing. Well, you do in round dancing. So let's take a look at something like this. Heads lead right, circle 4, make a line. Thank you. Good. Pass through. Do a partner trade. Boys step forward and make an ocean wave. Boys swing through. Don't move, girls. Boys find a reverse gear. Back up. Thank you. You got a line. Do a right and a left through. Okay? And the variety of the thing, and we go through the same process that we do with anything. Roll a half sachet. Girls step forward and make an ocean wave. Girls swing through. Girls hit reverse. Back up. Got a line. Star through. California twirl. Then we get tough with it. Touch a quarter. Check an ocean wave. Okay? Girls lean forward and take a peek. Don't do anything, just peek. Boys step forward and make a wave. Boys swing through. Girls trade with each other. Boys hit reverse gear, back up between the girl. Lines. Okay? This is stuff, now this is not first tip material, I guarantee you. When I go on a stage to call festival type dances, I'm not going to come up with this stuff right off the bat. I guarantee you when you first start, you're going to end up calling smooth choreography. What's number one tip say? Trust me. Right? You're going to make friends. There's a lot of people there that might not know you. They don't know how you call. They've never heard of you. So you want to kind of ease into it. But now we're talking, as Jack said, shtick. Stuff that says, oh, that's different. That's fun. It's not hard. It's different. Here's some more backups. Star through. Could do a half square through. Do a U-turn back. Star through. Those in the middle do a right to left through. Those same pair do a zoom, the others back straight up. Yellow rock. Okay. Here's some more. And I stole this from a good friend, Mr. Randy Doherty. Touch a quarter. Walk and dodge. Partner trade. Sometimes we tell who does the walking, who does the dodging, correct? Okay? Boys walk, girl dodge to your left. There we go. Okay? Girl walk, boy dodge. You're all facing out, okay? Boys, listen. Boys, back walk, girls dodge to your right. Go. Girl back walk, boy dodge. You got lines again, okay. Stuff that you can do. Here's one that I wrote when I first started the road. Touch a quarter. All 8 circ. Boy run. And this is a workshop call. This is a fun type thing, workshop call, and I call it beep, beep, circulate. Wrote a call going down the highway. I was going down the highway, and I had this idea. I said, if in this position I just wanted to circulate just the boys and not the girls, I couldn't have the guys crawl over the girls or between their legs or, they have to stay put. And about that time I was kind of weaving in the road because I was thinking too much choreography. And the car went beep, beep, and it went around me and it came right back in front of me. I said, that's it. So, guys, the girl that you're facing, you're going to go out and around her, and you're going to go face the next girl, and as you go, you're going to say beep, beep. Just the boys are moving. Ready? Boys, beep, beep, circulate. Go stand in front of the next girl. There you go. Come right on around there. Okay? Girls, you're going to try it. You got to go out and around and stand in front of the next guy, and you got to say it as you go. Ready? Girls, beep, beep, circulate. Voila. Okay? Is this stick or is this not stick? Okay? That stuff sticks. Okay? Give him a hand, by golly. Thanks to Square. Appreciate it. Beep, beep, circulate. I didn't get a Nobel Prize for it, but they got a few bookings, okay? Sometimes we talk about jokes. To me, I don't have so much the problem of saying turn the button on as Jack says. I have problems say turn it off. Turn it off. It's time to quit. You're at home. My wife and I are sitting at home and I'm still telling her jokes. I call her up long distance from England telling her jokes.
Or me at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Or Jack at 3 in the morning. Hey Jack, did you hear this one? To me, the jokes are like this. After a while, all callers know if there's a joke at the dance that night, You're going to hear it. I walked in yesterday. I was late getting in here yesterday and getting in Sunday. I came in Monday afternoon. Couldn't make flight connections. I was here about 45 minutes. I bet I heard 45 jokes that I'd already heard 3 times. To me, I get tired of jokes for one reason. Which do you think most of the people would rather do? Would they rather tell a joke or would they rather hear a joke? They'd rather tell it. Guarantee you. Guarantee you. Good example. Weekends. Week-long. Go to a week-long session. Kirkwood Lodge, a good place to go. Week-long session. You get there and every night there's jokes. Somebody's telling jokes. Or they got the little after parties, you know, with that's when we have the martinis and the social aspect of it. When we're there, all of a sudden everybody's sitting around and jokes are being told. Maybe they're not. The reason I use my jokes is in case they're not. If nobody's telling a story, there's always a good joke teller in the crowd, I guarantee it, or at least somebody that thinks they are. If you use it to instigate, that'll pull that person out. And all of a sudden he takes over. Your job's done. All you got to do is laugh from there on out. Because I guarantee you, if you're in the square dance calling business, there's not too many jokes that you have not heard. Right? You all agree that every time you go to a dance, somebody comes up and tells you that same one, you say, yeah. With other callers, they said, did you hear the one about that? I said, yeah. I said, hear the one about the traveling? Yeah, I wrote it. That's why I consider jokes. Jokes on a stage, you're best to keep them very light. There was a festival in Las Vegas, and a caller was up on stage, and he was calling, and he was using a lot of jokes. A man came over and said, hey, if we want to see a comedian, we can pay $20 and see the best in the country right down the street. He's got a point. So that's where I'm going back to the ad-lib thing. If something happens at a dance that trips your trigger, that all of a sudden that the whole crowd goes for, play on it. There it is. It's sitting there like a pot of gold waiting for you. Play on that. Not all night long. Back to material. Jim and Mission man, Mr. Dick Jones, and rest his soul, I think a lot of us that have been around for a while stole a lot of stuff from Dick. A lot of material, tons of material. Dick had this saying, it went like this. He said, lull to complacency and then clobber. And that was for a gimmick. That was a shtick. That was for a tip that he used. And this meant, like, example, if you would do a swing through boy run, half tag, quarter to the right, and whatever from there on out. Later on, you do a swing through boy run, half tag, quarter to the right. Swing through boy run, half tag, quarter to the right. The last time you use it, swing through boy run, half tag, quarter to the left, out of men left. Okay? What'd they do? It's not comfortable dancing, but you got this two-faced look on it, so. And that's what he's talking about. It's kind of like leading down a trail, which is a method of a shtick, leading down a trail until you get to the very end of the trail, and then you turn the horse loose. And you see which way the horse goes. The head will go one way, the other will go the other way. As far as singing calls that with shtick is a thing that you can sell, you can oversell, you can undersell. Ever in doubt what you're doing or what you should be doing or how far you've gone with it, undersell by all means. I guarantee you, I've seen guys go up on a stage, done it myself. Too much shtick. You got to get back to the basics and do some smooth calling. That has to be all in place first. And then comes the comedy bit. Then comes the fun stuff. Then comes the routines that change things around. The only way that I can express some of those is probably demonstrate. Here's one. Y'all familiar with the tune on Chaparral Records called Mountain Pass? I believe Jerry and you and Gary and Ken and a bunch are all singing on the intro to this, right? Is that correct? It's just Gary and Ken on the front? Okay. I always start this record out the same way every festival I do. I said, for this next song, we went to great expense. We've flown Gary Shoemaker and Ken Bauer in to help us sing it. They're going to sing the harmony. And, of course, yay, all the dancers, yeah, they know Gary, they know Ken. And And I said, Gary and Ken have got them both some new teeth and new hair, and they're doing real well. Then we put the record on, and then here they come, and I sing harmony with them. It's a stick. It starts out. It's something to say at the beginning thing. It's an icebreaker. Here's a tune called, it's written about a midget at a bus stop. It's called I Can't See Texas From Here. See it yet? Here's a Tom Jones tune. It's called It'll Be Me. Fellas, face your corner, rip your shirt apart, and beat on your chest. Say, it'll be me, baby. Oh, let's see what else in here. Here's one Marshall Flippo did. It's called If You Go Into the Toilet in Texas, You Better Have Paper in Hand. No. Fiddle in the Band. Here's a good style. Blueberry Hill on Redwood. Very good piece of music. Everybody knows this song. I guarantee you this is a sing-along record. You can start off and you can say circle left and you start singing, I found my thrill. And everybody's going to start singing. My next line is, where'd you find her? What are they going to do? They're going to say, on Blueberry. They're going to pick right up and you got them singing. Stole a bit from Flippo. Flip has a way of making people sing on a sing-along and never ask them to. All you have to do is turn the music down or turn your voice down. All of a sudden, he just turns it down, everything gets soft, and you're listening like you're listening for them to sing. All of a sudden, by golly, they start singing. It works. I tried it, it worked. Here's a little bit that we do, and I don't know any other way to do some of these without some examples. It's all right. Okay, let's see where we're at here. There's a bit every now and then that we do with the old culture and couth. And I stole this from Jones. The patter portion, the singing call portion, I added to it. Again, what they say, you steal something from somebody, all of a sudden you take around and you put your ideas with it, and maybe you change it a little bit and you make it different so the next dancer down the road say, oh, he did that, he stole that from Dick Jones, or he stole that from Jim Hayes or Jack Berg. You change it just a shade to fit your personality. Dick used to do a thing that said, Alameda left like a hinge on a gate, right to the partner, to left to the date, that's a right to left grand. Then he'd say, do-si-do, swang, promenade, rest. And then he'd go right into something else, normal type calling. Basically the same idea. Here's an old tune, and I usually tell them, I said, you remember a song called Red River Valley? And everybody says, yes, that's when we used to dance in the barn and step and slide all night. It was slow. They were all on Bourbon Street with us last night, I can tell. That was not us on Bourbon Street, was it? Faces in half shells. Anyway, it went something like this. And so you'd give it a big build-up. It went like this. Circle left. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Walk around your corner and seesaw your partner. Alabama left and weave the ring. You got the idea. But you don't go into it, and this kind of shows as you listen to the music, and all of a sudden it goes into really some classy up version of Red River Valley. Circle in the left and sit by my side if you love me. So it jazzes up as you go along. You don't play the whole thing all the way through as doing the, the country fine caller. Oh, I thought you were stealing that. Oh, so I had to steal it. Here's another piece of music a little bit different. Here's one on rhythm called Lawdy Miss Claudy. Now I tell them, hey, tell your corner, I'm going to let my hair down on this one. Well, you're going to have a few guys that don't have the hair to let down. And they'll make a joke out of that. And usually you do something like this. Where's my square again? Where was those people that were my square again? I think this works better if you show it. Can we jump up real quick? I'm just going to do the opener and that's all. Okay? If you won't mind doing the opener for a couple of singing calls, I'd appreciate you. Okay? Here we go. Now, y'all got to let your hair down. Take your corner and say, I'm going to let my hair down and have a good time and let it all hang loose with this one. Here we go. Circle left. I said, Lordy, 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 Miss Claudia. Girl, you're sure looking good to me. Well, the boys start riding. Swing them hips, boys. Come on now. Out on the left and gonna. Hey, promenade. That's it. Okay. Got the idea. The little bit of the swing the hips. About the third time you do the ending on there, those guys have got them hips out there. Looks like Pearl Bailey getting ready to wind up, I guarantee you. So nothing that that takes away from the flow or anything like that. It's just a little bit of fun. It says, let it go. You know, we're dancing to rhythm. We're not just straight laced going chug, chug, chug all the way through it. Here's another one, and I won't do it. I'm just going to play a little bit of part of it that I use. It's called Stop on the Road. Wade Driver cut this record, and this song, the pop song, has a tagline, and I think they've cut it down so it does fit. It says, this old place ain't home, it's just a stop on the road. And I think the original words went something, this old place don't feel like home, it's just a stop on the road. I could not get all that in there. This old place don't feel like home, it's just a stop on the road. That's how I'd finish up. So I said, I like this music, and it's really good, but what can I do with it? So we did this. I'd say, hey, gang, this has got a particular line in here. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You guess what it is. And I'll do an opener and a figure for you and see if anybody can guess what the line is. Y'all hush. Oh, ladies, promenade, go one time around. Back home and swinging, whirl, swing your man, go round. Join hand and circle to the left, go down the trail. Out of in that corner and you weave the rain. Just stop on the road. Swing a little girl and you promenade. Just to stop on the road. Those lines here. Stop on the road. Hit the full square through, shake it out now. All the way around you do, see do and time you do. Make a way tonight, swing to come what you bound to. Spin the top to keep moving, boys. Walk up and then slide to. Touch 1/4, scoot back there, guys. Swing in, whirl, and you promenade. See if you can find the words. Just stop on the road, goes right here. Stop on the road. Now I'll sing it. Hit the full square through in the middle of the count forward. All the way you do, see, though. Of course, we would go all the way through it, and they wouldn't get it to the 7th part. Swing through. Boys trade. Boy, run to the right, you do. Bend the line, square through. 3/4 back. Swing the corner, and you promenade. I'm going to sing it this time. Just stop on the road. What do you do when you got to go? Stop on the road. All right. Stick. Okay. Okay. Yeah, welcome to the AIDS war. That was your glass. Okay, and I'm going to use you for this last song, okay, if I could. One more. Y'all so good that I need you for the last one, okay? And I really don't know how to do this except do the whole song. This is a piece of stuff that I was sitting around the house playing some records. Had a couple martinis. Easy, day off, no problem. And I came up to this song called Me and Paul. And this little tune had come around, and the only person that I could remember singing it, the only person in my head that I could hear was Willie Nelson. And old Willie's got a burnout whiskey voice that won't quit. So I said, doggone, somebody besides Willie Nelson has got to have sung this song, helped out with the producing, in production, advertising, or maybe just a little doodly-doo thing that we all knew. So Willie had a big hit, and it's called Me and Paul, and it goes like this. Circling, been rough and rocky traveling, I finally stood upright on the ground. Walk around your corner, seesaw your own, out on the left. We've got rain, I guess Houston was our office. I know, I've said it about them all. Swing a little girl and promenade. We received our education, all cities of our nation, me and Paul. And a Willie's friend, Mel Tillis. Head square, 4. And a right to left, through. Swing through. Run, boy. Wheel and deal. Dive through and square through 3/4 and alley. Swing that corner promenade. We received education, all cities of our nation, me and Paul. And his friend, Jimmy Carter. Head square through 4 halves. And a right to left through. Swing through. Boys run. Wheel and deal. Dive through. Square through 3/4. Swing Billy. Promenade. We received our education on the cities of our nation. Paul and I. Circle left. Been rough and rocky traveling. I finally stand up right on the ground. Walk around your corner. Seesaw your own. Alum in the left. Weave the ring. I guess Houston was the roughest, but I didn't say that. Swing a little girl. Oh, promenade. We received our education on the cities of our nation, me and Paul. From the great Walt Disney, Goofy. Side square through. And a right to left through. Yep. Swing through. Boy, run. You wheel and deal. Dive through. Square through 3/4. Swing a little corner and go round. Promenade. We received our education on the cities of our nation, me and Paul. And the great evangelist Billy Graham. The side square through 4 hands around tonight. And a right and left through. Swing through. Boy, run. Wheel and deal. Dive through. Square through 3/4. Let me hear you say hallelujah. Swing into the corner. Oh, promenade. We received our education on the cities of our nation, me and Paul. Side space, Grand Square, Dolly Park. I need a little bigger vest. Help me. Left down and man, weave the ring. I guess Houston was the roughest. I know I've said about them all. Swing a little girl and promenade. We received our education on the cities of our nation, me and Paul. That's where you're supposed to swing. Received our education on the cities of our nation, me and Paul. Oh, stick. Thank you. Give the square a hand, too. I appreciate y'all very, very much. Thank you. Thanks for doing that for me. Appreciate it. Now, the only thing that I've got to say about stick again, and especially about like tunes like this, I had some more, but I left Texas. I'm down there with Jerry Haddon, and when we left there, my library of records I keep in Texas because it's 3 sessions a day, and of course you need more records there. And I was going to Hawaii, and I said, hey, forget this stuff, and I packed it all away, and zoom, took off, and all I had was what I had in my briefcase. And those tunes are not tunes that you do at every club dance. After a while, they become like a Kenny Rogers song. You know he's on a train bound for somewhere as soon as you heard it, okay? So they're show tunes. They're shtick. It's what you use at festivals. It's what's going to, and I guarantee you, I've done those things 1,000,000 times in my sleep. But the idea for this, I'm not taking credit for. This song, yeah, I put it together. The idea came from Dick Jones. He said, you're not just a square dance caller. You're an entertainer. He said, when you're up there, entertain. He had a bit he used to do with Bye Bye Blackbird. He did bird calls while they were weaving the ring. Some of you remember that. I said, Dick, where'd you get the idea? He said, I was singing, bye, bye, blackbird. And all of a sudden, he said, this lady came by and she was whistling like a bird. He said, an idea. So he got with somebody and he said, I worked on my bird calls. And the last, of course, was the big, big eagle, So again, he lulled you to complacency. He took all the nice little bird calls and had the cute little... And then right there at the end, you think, it's going to be a nice little Tweety bird, and all of a sudden, So again, it's a shtick, okay? I really can't say much more about what I do. I take ideas like this, but remember, be very careful with these things. They're dynamite. They can go off in your hands. I guarantee you, I've got enough to do this. One time I put together a whole 3-hour dance and had every song but the first song just like these. I had a whole dance of them. It's too much. By the dance, it's like, here we go again. I wonder who he's going to do next. Well, I'm not an impressionist. I'll leave that to Rich Little. I call these impressions. This is my impression of what it would be like. If W.C. Fields, if he was a square dance caller, he'd say, let me see, past the ocean. If I could swallow it, I could pass it. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks for letting me be part of it.
It's kind of like following a monkey act, isn't it?
Stand up, Jack.
Did you hear something that he said? You worked at it at night. You've seen a lot of talent up here. You've seen a lot of talent with this man and what he says, a lot of talent what he showed you. That's talent. He wasn't born with it. He worked on it. He slept that night thinking about it. Mr. Jim Hayes said two things. He didn't say the exact words, but he said, let the dancers win. That's part of the entertaining. If you make a mistake, as Jim pointed out, make fun of it. That's part of entertaining the crowd. If you make a mistake and you don't know what to say, you say, I just threw a C3 move at you, I'm sorry. That's doing it. I don't have any imitations, but Mr. Flippo, I made you famous in Chicago. I have only one imitation I do, and that's Vera to the left and then the right. I always say it's my Marshall Flippo imitation. So if you ever get a Chicago dancer, please do your Vera to the left. Did you notice the corner stick that he snuck in? When you're explaining stick, and we're going to have a few minutes, and I'm going to end it and see if anybody's got any. What I liked what Larry did, when he got the square up, he says, turn to your corner, blah, 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 and they did it, and you all chuckled. That's part of warming it up. He's right. Watch out what you do with a crowd. It'll explode right in your face. You can't do everything he did all night long. You can't do all that choreography that Jim talked about. Be careful. One thing that we didn't say, you don't have to work so hard calling. There's record producers out there that are trying to make some real good music for you. Let that music work for you. You don't have to say a lot of garbage in your swing through, go 2 by 2, da 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 da, the boy going to run around the girl. You don't have to do that. There's some good music. Let it play up for you. Let's see if some of you's got some shtick out there. Let's see if you got some famous stuff that we can steal. You guys got your pens ready? We got 5 minutes. Let's see if we've got something. Anybody want to volunteer? Look at it right away. They're starting to leave. There's one man right there. We're going to check his shtick. Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
One of the things I meant to say...
Stand up, sir, as you leave. There's a guy out there that's... Oh, I'm sorry. That's the only man I know that looks up to me. No, I
stole this from a guy named Rusty Fennell down in San Antonio, but it was kind of cute the way he did this. When you were earlier, when I was doing that veer left, veer right, everybody veer right, and all this. And anyway, he pulled it on us one night, and he said, "You got your set up, and then when he finally said, veer right, well, everybody kind of stumbled. He stopped the music, and he says, y'all know what veer right is, don't you? And they all thought, well, hey, this guy's pretty corny. We're pretty good dancers. He says, that's 2 steps to the left and 4 running steps to the right.
We got a couple of... Do we have a couple of sticks that we can steal from you people? Let's see some hands. Come on. There's got to be out there. You callers, huh? All right, sure.
Art Springer from Florida.
Thank you.
Get him up here.
That's right. That's a little stick that means a lot to the dancers. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Hey, we need to get him on tape, Jack,
will we?
if you want to come up.
Yeah, why don't you come on up? My bodyguard is coming up at this moment, so no one mess with me, all right? Speaking of putting face down in half shells, we have about a minute and a half left of tape. So the big fella, go first. Give your name.
My story takes longer than a minute and a half to tell.
You're finished.
Okay.
Go ahead. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to have fun. Go ahead.
No, I've always, I'm Bob Green from Selma, Alabama, and I have no voice today. Okay, they call me Fatback. My friends call me Fatback. Y'all can call me Mr. Green, okay? Now, I've always admired these guys like Letson and Flippo and all these guys that do these wonderful sticks. So I came up with one. I said, I found a song. It was right after Bo Cephas came out with Ain't Misbehavin'. He did such a wonderful job on it. Red Boot, I think, came out with the record Ain't Misbehavin'. And when I heard the music, I heard Leon Redbone. How many people have ever heard of Leon Redbone?
Yeah.
3 more than had ever heard of him at the dance. I tried this. Leon Redbone, 15 years ago, was my hero. He's still around. He was a cult hero. He's real skinny. He has a Frank Zappa mustache and a little clump of hair right here. How many people have heard of Frank Zappa? Anyway, he wears a fedora. He sits on the stage. He crosses his legs like a girl does, you know. He plays a guitar. He looks down at the floor, and you cannot... He makes no movement other than his fingers on the guitar, and he sings songs like Ain't Misbehavin', Shine Up. Can you imitate him for me?
No one to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk with, I'm happy on show.
That is Leon Redbone. And I can do Leon Redbone. I can't do him today, but I could do him then. So I went to this dance. I had a little 30-square dance I was going to do, and I said, perfect place to try this out. I went out and bought a fedora, hid it around behind my speaker, got up there, middle of the dance, 3rd or 4th tip. I started singing Ain't Misbehavin'. And as I was doing the first 2 parts of the tip, I went over and got a chair, sat it down in the middle of the stage, and I was still calling. I went over and got my fedora, put it on, got to the middle break, and I said, sides, face, grand square, this is the way Mr.